took to social media just a short time ago, demanding that the Strait of Hormuz be reopened by Monday, saying this: "Remember when I gave Iran 10 days to make a deal or reopen up the Hormuz Strait? Time is running out. 48 hours before all hell will rain down on them. Glory be to God." Now, this ultimatum follows the April 6th deadline Trump had given Iran to reach that deal or to restore access to the critical waterway that carries about 20% of the world's oil.
48 hours. All hell will rain down. Glory be to God. That is the President of the United States on social media, issuing a military ultimatum. While somewhere in a remote area of southwestern Iran, a missing American airman is still out there, evading capture, hiding in the dark, waiting to be found by his own forces before the Iranians find him first. And the president has not said a single word about him publicly. Not one post, not one statement, not one acknowledgement that one of his service members is alone in enemy territory right now. But the Strait of Hormuz? 48 hours or all hell breaks loose. Stay with this. Because what is unfolding right now is not just a military situation. It is a test of what this administration actually prioritizes, and the answer is becoming visible in real time.
I just spoke with another an expert in this field, and he said it's good that it's now night again in Iran. Why would that be an advantage?
Well, the pilots in the early part of what they get trained to do when they find themselves in this situation, which is there's a four-letter acronym they use. It's pronounced SERE. It goes survive, escape, survive, evade, resist, escape. And so he's not captured yet, thankfully, which means he is in the survive and evade phase of the training that these pilots get when they find themselves in the situation. So nightfall is good if you're trying to survive and evade being captured, because it makes it obviously harder for people locally to detect you as you're trying to move around, find a good, better places to hide out, find places to try and communicate to the U.S. forces looking for you where you are. Those types of things are just better done at night than
survive, evade, resist, escape. That is the training every American pilot carries into the sky, knowing that one day they might need it. And right now, one of them needs it. An F-15E Strike Eagle was shot down in southwestern Iran yesterday. The pilot ejected and was rescued. The weapons systems officer, the second crew member, is still missing. Iranian state media is offering a reward to anyone who captures him and turns him over alive. People on the ground in Iran were filmed firing at U.S. aircraft involved in the rescue mission. An A-10 Warthog involved in the search crashed near the Strait of Hormuz. 2 U.S. helicopters were struck by hostile fire. The search is ongoing. The airman is still out there. And the president is posting ultimatums on Truth Social. Here is the full breakdown of everything happening, what the military is doing, what the risks are, and what the experts said that nobody is paying enough attention to.
I wonder, sir, if the Iranian regime finds this airman first and then says, we will return him safely if you end this war, what does the administration do?
Well, I don't think the administration would end all of its combat operations based on, one prisoner of war. That's usually not how these things go. It would certainly complicate things, though, when it comes to any attempt to negotiate a settlement to the war, because now, if the Iranians capture this gentleman, and I certainly hope for his sake and his family's sake that they don't, but if they do, that just gives them another point of strategic leverage that they can use in negotiations with the United States. They now have effectively, or they would have, another card in their hand to play in those types of negotiations. So it would make it harder.
Another card in their hand. That is the sentence that reframes this entire situation. Because this is not just a search and rescue mission, this is a geopolitical variable. If Iran captures this airman and uses him as a negotiating instrument, the entire framework of whatever deal the United States is trying to coerce Iran into shifts immediately. And the Trump administration posting 48-hour ultimatums on Truth Social, while that airman is still in the field, is the kind of pressure that the expert described very carefully. Start with the sequence. An F-15E Strike Eagle, one of the most capable multi-role fighter jets in the U.S. Air Force, was shot down in a remote area of southwestern Iran. Both crew members ejected. The pilot was located and rescued. The weapons systems officer, the second person in that aircraft, has not been found. Iranian state media immediately announced a reward for anyone who captures him and delivers him alive. That announcement tells you two things simultaneously. First, Iran does not have him yet, because if they did, they would have announced it immediately. As the expert explained, it is in the interest of both sides to make that known as quickly as possible. Second, Iran is actively trying to find him before the US does, which is why the rescue operation is a race. And the losses in that race are already mounting. An A-10 Warthog, one of the most rugged close air support aircraft ever built, crashed near the Strait of Hormuz during the rescue operation. Its pilot was recovered. 2 U.S. helicopters were struck by hostile fire during the same operation. Their crews were injured, but survived. So in the last 24 hours, 1 fighter jet down, 1 A-10 down, 2 helicopters hit, 1 airman still missing, in enemy territory. And the president's most prominent public statement about Iran today was about the Strait of Hormuz. Here is what is happening on the ground. Every U.S. military pilot goes through SERE training: survive, evade, resist, escape. It is one of the most demanding training programs in the military, designed specifically for the scenario this airman is in right now, alone, in hostile territory, with enemy forces actively searching. The expert explained why nightfall matters. At night, movement is harder to detect, hiding is easier, communication with rescue forces is more covert. Every hour of darkness is an advantage for the airman and a disadvantage for the people hunting him. And the expert made one critical observation about how the US knows he has not been captured: silence. Iran has not announced that they have him, and if they had him, they would announce it immediately. So as of right now, he is still out there, still evading, still in the survive and evade phase of training he hoped he would never need. And rescue aircraft are actively searching for him, while the president is posting on Truth Social. Here is the operational detail. Most people are missing. The U.S. military, and according to reports, Israel as well, has established a no-strike zone around the area where the airman is believed to be evading. That means, for as long as that airman is unaccounted for, there are parts of Iran that neither the United States nor Israel will target. Think about what that means from Iran's perspective. If Iran can keep this airman in a specific area, if they can prolong the search, if they can use the uncertainty about his location to effectively create a protected zone, they have found a way to limit American strike capability without firing a single weapon. And that is before even considering what happens if they capture him. The expert's framing was precise and sobering. A captured American airman is not just a humanitarian concern. He is a negotiating card. A card that, in the context of whatever deal the United States is trying to pressure Iran into, gives Iran additional leverage at exactly the moment Washington is trying to maximize its own. And Trump's 48-hour ultimatum, issued while this situation is still unresolved, does not help the airmen on the ground. It does not accelerate the rescue. What it does is add pressure to a situation that is already operating under maximum pressure, and signal to Iran that the United States is willing to escalate even while one of its own people is in the field. Here is the most important analytical point of this entire situation. The expert was asked directly, does Trump's Truth Social ultimatum jeopardize the rescue mission? His answer was careful, and worth listening to closely. The statements coming from the president, the White House, and the Pentagon are aimed at what he called coercive diplomacy. The U.S. clearly wants a negotiated settlement. It is unclear whether those negotiations are actually happening, but the threats, the ultimatums, the force surges are designed to generate leverage on the American side to use in those negotiations. That is the framework. And within that framework, the 48-hour ultimatum is not recklessness. It is strategy, coercive diplomacy, the use of threatened force to compel a negotiated outcome. The problem, and the expert acknowledged it without saying it directly, is that coercive diplomacy works best when the coercing side has full operational freedom. Right now, the United States does not have full operational freedom. There is a no-strike zone around a missing airman. There is a rescue operation actively underway. There is an A-10 down, 2 helicopters hit, and the leverage the administration is trying to generate through Truth Social ultimatums is being partially offset by the leverage Iran is accumulating simply by keeping that airman in the field. 48 hours. All hell will rain down. Unless Iran finds him first, in which case, the timeline changes completely. Subscribe for sharp, clear coverage of every development as this situation unfolds. Because the gap between what is being posted on Truth Social and what is actually happening on the ground in Iran right now is the story that matters most. And if you found this useful, hit like, subscribe, hit the bell,